Hello friends, today's video is super exciting. We're gonna start from the very beginning. You are freshly engaged and brand new to this idea of planning your wedding. What do? I'm here to take out the stress out of that question and help you know how to get started. Let's start with some very basic, very fundamental tips to starting to plan your wedding. My name is Vanessa Smith. I have been a wedding and event planner in the Seattle area for about 23 years and have worked on thousands of weddings. There's nothing I enjoy more than helping my clients bring their wedding vision to life and having the most incredible celebration. Please like and subscribe to our channel because we have so much fun tips and tricks to share with you and ways to help you make planning your wedding so much more enjoyable. Let's get started. So, you've just got engaged, you've got the ring, you have the partner of your dreams, and now it's time to start planning your wedding. Here's where I recommend getting started. Let's get this wedding planning party started. The first tip that I recommend to anybody planning a wedding is to get inspired. As I mentioned, the process of planning a wedding can be a little bit overwhelming, to say the least. So get excited. And to get excited, I usually recommend going on Pinterest or whatever kind of platform you want to use and looking at pictures of other people's weddings. Find something that aligns with your vibe, which speaks to your style, and pin it. Save those ideas. They're going to come really helpful later. But this is also going to help you start to think about the important decisions that you're going to have to make early on in the planning process, such as the season to get married, the style of your wedding, the level of formality of your wedding. So find some pictures or images that you kind of get smiley about and save them. And bring them to your venue walkthroughs with you. Save them for whoever's going to be helping you plan later, and just kind of use them as inspiration guides throughout the entire planning process. The other important things to start really thinking about early on in the planning process is your approximate guest list. Every step in the wedding planning process, you're going to be asked, how many guests approximately are you planning? Know a rough number. Start to think about it. Is my wedding going to be 100 to 150 guests or 450 guests? It doesn't need to be an exact number, but it probably should be a range of about 50 people. So, that 100 to 150, 150 to 200 number, those are all numbers that wedding professionals are used to working with. After you kind of have a good idea of the guest count, you want to start to think about season or the time of year that you're open to getting married in. You do want to start to narrow down dates. Are you interested in 4th of July weekend or other holiday weekends, or are those no-goes for you? Start to think about what dates would work and what dates wouldn't work. But I do not recommend getting hung up on a specific date if you can possibly avoid it. That way you'll have more options when it comes to working with the vendors of your top choice. As we continue down this process of initially starting to plan your wedding, the next step I would take into consideration is kind of selecting an area. You're going to need to have some geographical range here. But are you open to an hour outside of the city, or are you really looking to get married inside the city? You need to kind of start to think about what areas of town or of your state you're open to getting married in, or are you planning an exciting destination wedding? Start to think about the specific locations you're open to, so when you search, you have different ways to kind of narrow it down. The next part of the initial startup process isn't always the funnest, but it's something we all realistically have to deal with. We have to think about budget. Budget is a huge driver in the wedding planning process. I wish it wasn't, but unfortunately it is. And it's something to take into consideration of and be proud of. There is no right or wrong answer when it comes to planning your wedding on a budget. But you do need to know what you can spend and what vendors you should be looking at based off their initial pricing guides on their website. Understand your budget. Understand the capacity of your budget and what your budget has to include. And then make sure as you start to filter vendors that you're looking at the final out the door prices. A lot of clients get hung up on a specific chair on a party rental company's website, but they forget about all the additional costs that will be added to that chair rental price once they get it to the final line. Meaning there's delivery fees, taxes, administration fees, all sorts of additional fees are going to get added. So make sure you understand how much each item costs that you're going to be looking at and what the bottom line number really is. In addition to worrying about budget, you have to start to think about how much of your wedding you're willing to DIY and how much of your wedding you want professionally handled. Are you going to hire a wedding planner, or are you going to do a lot of it yourself? There's multiple tiers in all of these options. It's not necessarily that black or white. A lot of clients hire a day of coordinator and don't necessarily utilize full planning services, while other people highly value having a very hands-on wedding planner from the beginning and make it an absolute priority. You need to start to realize how much time do I really have to be engaged in the planning process and how much of this I need to hire a professional for. And then start to look at vendors in that category. The next but really fun part of the journey is deciding if you're going to have a wedding party. And if you are going to have a wedding party, ask them. Get them involved from the very beginning. Your wedding party should be very helpful to you throughout the entire planning process, and they should be there to be your friend, your stress reliever, part of the design team, the setup team, the cleanup team, whatever it is you need of them. But get them involved early and find a really fun way to ask them to be a part of your special day. The next step in the planning process actually comes to making some big decisions. I always recommend to clients when they're ready to start to actually plan, step one is choosing a venue. You'll have to start those venue tours and asking those questions at the venue so that you're able to make a decision on a venue that really aligns with what you need for your wedding. I've already made another video that's full of tips and tricks and questions to ask when doing venue walkthroughs, so I highly recommend checking out that video. It'll help a ton. This is exciting. Remember that. There is a lot of stress that comes with planning your wedding, but it's gotta be fun and it's gotta be memorable. This is a huge stage of your life. Try not to get overwhelmed. Don't rush it. Relax and enjoy. Get inspired and look forward to each step in the process. Being engaged and planning your wedding is a huge stage of your life, and you really need to remember it as a positive time. Like and subscribe to our videos. We have so much more tips and tricks to share, and we look forward to being a part of your planning process. Good luck, and absolutely, we are wishing you the most amazing celebration. Congratulations on your engagement. We're so excited for you.